Jeremy Renner's ex-wife says he threatened to kill her and also put a gun in his mouth and threatened to kill himself. She accuses the actor of being on drugs.
This is actually a deeper topic than it kind of appears. You think, oh, it's just some idiot attacking another idiot.
Rachel Zegler has been making some headlines lately, but not for the reasons you'd expect. Her career seems to be spiraling, and she's becoming one of the most unpopular actresses in Hollywood. Instead of bouncing back, she's only digging herself deeper with controversial statements, both new and old, that keep resurfacing. One of the most shocking moments involved her bizarre tweets about Jeremy Renner. Renner, known for his role as Hawkeye, was caught up in a messy custody battle with his ex-wife. She accused him of abusing drugs, alcohol, and even threatening her life. These were some pretty serious claims, and although Renner denied everything, the rumors were enough to spark some intense reactions online. But here's where things take a wild turn. Rachel Zegler, who wasn't involved in any way, decided to jump into the conversation. She didn't just offer her opinion, she outright attacked Renner. Without waiting for the courts to prove anything, she publicly sided with his ex-wife and went on to call Jeremy Renner a racist, sexist, transphobic garbage monster. Yep, you heard that right. She didn't stop there either. She took it a step further and actually suggested Disney recast Hawkeye with her, tweeting, "Can I be the new Hawkeye?" And then, as if that wasn't enough, she doubled down, suggesting that the role should go to a trans woman of color, just to, as she put it, stick it to that racist, sexist, transphobic garbage monster. At this point, it's pretty clear that Rachel Zegler didn't know the full story. Renner denied all the accusations, and nothing had been proven in court, but that didn't stop her from launching a full-on attack against him. The tweets were disrespectful to say the least, and it made it seem like Zegler was more interested in stirring the pot than standing up for any real cause. It's moments like these that have left people questioning Zegler's judgment. Why did she feel the need to insult Renner so harshly when the accusations were still unproven? And why drag Disney into it, asking them to replace Renner's role all based on allegations? The way she jumped to conclusions and threw insults without knowing the facts is what's making her so unpopular, and these kinds of outbursts are only adding to the backlash she's facing. If Jeremy Renner really was all those terrible things Rachel Zegler accused him of, Disney would have been the first to cut ties with him. But they didn't, which pretty much tells us that those accusations weren't true. Renner's ex-wife made some very serious claims during their custody battle, but in the end, they turned out to be false.
Jeremy Renner's ex-wife says he threatened to kill himself and Sonny. Now, a rep from Jeremy said the accusations are one-sided.
Yet, Rachel Zegler didn't hesitate for a second to jump on board, blindly believing the ex-wife and using it as an opportunity to insult Renner, calling him all sorts of terrible things. And Rachel didn't just stop at insults. She even tried to get him fired from his iconic role as Hawkeye, basically saying they should kick him out of the Marvel Universe. But guess what? That didn't happen. Renner won his case, cleared his name, and stayed as Hawkeye, continuing to thrive in the role. Meanwhile, Rachel's desperate attempts to take over or replace him didn't go anywhere. But in true Rachel Zegler style, she didn't stop with that. Just recently, she tried again, this time throwing herself at Disney for a role in the Star Wars universe. You'd think she'd come up with a solid reason, but her pitch was, well, pretty laughable. In a tweet, she practically begged Disney to hire her to voice Shara Bay, the mother of Poe Dameron, because the ship Shara flew was called an RZ-1 and her initials are RZ. Yep, that was her reasoning. Because her initials match the name of a ship in a comic, she thinks she's the perfect fit for the role. It's hard to wrap your head around the fact that someone would use that as a reason to get cast in a major Star Wars role. There are countless talented actresses out there who could bring that character to life, yet Rachel's using her initials as a selling point? It's ridiculous to say the least, especially considering how unpopular she's become. Her track record hasn't been great lately. She's already rubbed a lot of people the wrong way in her infamous Snow White interviews. Instead of promoting the upcoming movie, she did the exact opposite. She went on a spree, trashing the original classic and bragging about how the live-action version would be nothing like the original. Fans of the fairy tale and the classic Disney film were completely turned off, and whatever excitement people had for the movie quickly vanished. Rachel's remarks made her one of the least liked actresses in Hollywood, and it's hard to imagine why Disney would consider her for any role, let alone one in Star Wars. It's like she's digging a deeper hole for herself with every move she makes. Rachel Zegler really stirred up some major controversy when she decided to call the beloved classic Snow White problematic and outdated simply because it featured a romance story.
I was scared of the original cartoon. I think I watched it once and then I never picked it up again. Like, I'm being so serious. I watched it once and then I went on the ride in Disney World, which was called Snow White's Scary Adventures. Doesn't sound like something a little kid would like. Was terrified of it. Never revisited Snow White again.
She even went as far as calling the prince a weird creep and proudly stated that the live-action remake wouldn't include any romance at all. In several interviews, she talked about how she'd be playing a strong, independent Snow White who didn't need a man and was focused on becoming a ruling queen. Of course, fans were not happy. People who loved the original fairy tale and the classic Disney movie felt like this adaptation was completely missing the point and disrespecting everything that made the story special. Fans were furious, questioning why Disney would cast someone as Snow White who not only didn't seem to appreciate the original story, but also didn't resemble the character in any way. Snow White was known for being humble, kind, and sweet, but Rachel? She was the complete opposite. Fans couldn't understand how someone so different from the character was chosen for the role. And it wasn't just about her attitude. Physically, Rachel didn't resemble the iconic Snow White at all, adding more fuel to the fire. People started wondering why Disney would go with someone who didn't fit the character either in looks or in spirit.
Whistle while you work.
Despite all this, Disney gave her the opportunity to play such an iconic role. But how did she repay them? By turning around and backstabbing them. Instead of being grateful for the role, Rachel started publicly demanding more money, even though she had already agreed to her contract before filming began. She was reportedly paid millions, but that didn't stop her from asking for more. And rather than addressing the valid concerns of fans who were rightfully worried about the direction of the movie, she started lashing out at them, calling them toxic and ignoring their feedback entirely. Her behavior managed to anger not just the fans, but other actors and even the studio that had given her the job. It was a downward spiral. She alienated almost everyone, from the audience she was supposed to win over to the people in the industry who were now questioning if casting her was a huge mistake. Her attitude, the way she handled criticism, and her entitlement left many wondering how she could have made so many wrong moves in such a short time. And now it seems like Disney is doing everything they can to salvage the situation by quietly minimizing Rachel Zegler's role in Snow White. They're reportedly cutting down her scenes and trying to distance the movie from the controversy she stirred up. But honestly, will that be enough to save it? Probably not. The damage has already been done, and it's hard to imagine the movie bouncing back after everything that's happened. What's even more shocking is that none of this had to happen. There was no reason for her to go after Jeremy Renner with those unprovoked, insulting tweets, or to make a ridiculous pitch for a Star Wars role just because of her initials. And let's not even get started on her Snow White comments, which alienated so many fans of the original movie. It's hard to believe how quickly things spiraled for her. What do you think about Rachel's tweets, her Star Wars request, and her Snow White comments? Can she recover, or is it too late? Share your thoughts in the comments section. Thanks for watching, and see you next time!